So what you're seeing isn't what's being broadcast. The sidebar.
Okay, cool. All right. You guys can see the screen now.
Oh yeah, do it.
Let me know if we're live on YouTube. I just set it up.
Just said you're streaming live.
You're live. Woo!
All right. Let's get this thing kicked off.
Yeah.
Welcome, everyone, to an all-new episode of Marvel Cinematic Review. We are the MCR of the MCU. I love that badge. Just like, yes, nail it. Go ahead. Hit it. We have a shortened group, but everyone will start to pile in a few moments. But starting up, let's introduce, starting out with a great hat that he's wearing, by the way.
It is.
You know what I'm saying? I see the chains. I see the Marvel shirt. I see the, the sweater.
Just extra today,
Look, I'm just saying, Dom is really trying to, make us look bad out here.
And I don't even need glasses. These are just blue light glasses.
Oh, look at that!
Nice.
I'm sitting over here. I can't even see nothing, but But anyway, what's going on, Dom?
Nothing, man. It's been one of those weird weeks. I think it's just that week that transition into February just feels kind of off. But February is always a decent month for me. This will be the year that I turn 33 in February. Wife turns 31 the day after my birthday, so it's gonna be good the next couple weeks.
Oh my goodness, that is so old. No, I'm just joking.
Excuse us.
No, but saying that, you know what I find hilarious? My cousins, they're like 16, 17. I'm 27, so they look at me and they're like, man, you're old. And I'm like, what do you think your parents are that are like 40 or 50? They're like, they're old too. And I'm like, well, what do you think of your grandparents? They're like, they're just like, sentient beings. Like, that's old. I'm like, okay. I'm like, just remember, like I said, I'm 27, not 63. It's not old, but it just immediately reminded me of that. They're like, oh, you're so old. I'm like, okay, all right, you're 16. You'll be here before you know it. But also welcoming in from the Kind of Nerdy Girls and the Kind of Nerdy Dudes. And thankfully, I was able to join Kind of Nerdy Dudes this past week. Welcoming in KJ and Patrick. What's going on?
Thank you. I'm sorry that I missed the Kind of Nerdy Dudes recording this week because I heard that it was the best episode yet. So I don't know. You might be replacing me.
When I tell you that was, I got like a little emotional when Patrick was telling me that, because I had so much fun, So to me, it was just, talking with the guys, for them to have said that is like, that's really dope. I appreciate it.
Well, that's good. I mean, that's kind of what we've built the Kind of Nerdy Network and our two shows on is the fun of fandom. Like, let's not get mad about things. Let's not lose perspective. Let's just keep this fun perspective on everything that we go into and get together as friends and enjoy it.
Yep. Right. And I loved having you, man. I mean, like I hope you do replace KJ. Oh shit, that's my bad. I said that one out loud. That brain to mouth filter needs changing, man. That's my bad. I love you, honey. You're the best.
You might have a new roommate soon,
right?
But no, it was awesome breaking down because we bag on DC pretty hard, the DCEU pretty hard. At times, so it was great for you to come in and lend a unique perspective and like just give insights into all that stuff. So you nailed it. We had a blast. So thank you very much.
And that episode posted today.
The episode is posted now today.
Yep, we have promoted it literally everywhere. So there's no excuse out there, people. Go check it out.
Thank you.
Like I said, it was a great episode. And there was a topic on there that I never thought I'd be a part of, but I was glad that I had some knowledge of it. And I think Pat knows which topic I'm talking about.
Yeah. Our
Make
Salem
sure-
in 60.
Salem
yeah.
at 60.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
A segment on Days of Our Lives.
It's a
I
bunch of
grew up
dudes who
around-
spend 60 seconds talking about Days of Our
Hey,
Lives.
look, I was telling my aunt when you sent me the show notes, and I was telling her growing up with nothing but like moms, aunts, and grandmothers. When 12 o'clock comes around, I don't want to hear you want to watch anything but Days of Our Lives, or at 3 o'clock General Hospital. So the fact that I had that information in my head, it's like I never thought I'd have to use it, but
it only took 27 years to pay off, but it did, brother.
It only took 27 years to pay off. No, my dad would have been like, "I'm sorry, you were talking about what?" I was like, "Hey, look, man." But also welcoming in amazing headset, Tia. Love it. Welcoming in.
Yeah, that's hot.
Tia.
Oh, thanks, guys. Sorry if things run a little slow here. I'm trying to like delete stuff off my computer so it doesn't like lag or anything. But how's everyone doing?
Doing great.
So
We
good.
can hear you perfectly. So your sound is amazing. So
Okay,
good on
awesome.
and then welcoming to the MCR for the first time, hopefully not the last time, from Pete's basement. Very good friend of mine. Pete, what's going on, man?
What's up, buddy? Happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Look at all that goodness
Absolutely.
behind you.
I know he makes me jealous every time I watch him. I'm just like, I have none of that. Like,
Dude, this quarantine has just like I've been an eBay maniac. It's just like just filling holes in the collection because I got nothing better to do myself.
I'm just picturing in my mind like whoever runs eBay, just like this guy is just all right. Like put a hold on his account. Like, but no, I love it. I love it. And I'm really glad to have you, man. It just dawned on me the other day, and I was like, nah, I gotta hit up Pete. Like he has to join this.
Hey man, I'm having fun.
Absolutely. So we're waiting on a few more people, but let's get into our question of the week, which is who do we think is behind the chaos in WestView? There's been so many theories thrown out there. There's a huge theory I'm going to throw to you guys based off of what was on Jimmy Woo's board a little later on the show. But I'm really curious. You guys, I'm not even going to go because you guys already know who I think is behind everything. I'll never let that go. I could be proven wrong, and I'll still hold on to like, no, it's Mephisto. Don't tell me anything else. But I want to start off with KJ and Patrick. Who do you guys think? Who do you guys think is behind the chaos in WestView?
From what little I know from the comics and Vision and Scarlet Witch and whatnot, is I gotta agree with you. I think it's Mephisto or what is it, Nightmare, possibly one of the two. But I mean, like right now, what I think whoever is in charge, they're not in control because she's overpowering whoever right now.
Yeah, I think Wanda is. Somebody else may have started this, but it's Wanda's world now. I think that we're going to find out that a lot of this is just it's her power, which is something that we haven't seen enough of in the movies so far. And unfortunately, as powerful as she is, and you pair that up with the amount of grief and tragedy that she's had, and I feel like I said, I think that she's that, and especially when she used those words that she said that she's got this under control. That to me was like, I don't know who else is trying to get in here. I don't know who else is trying to be a part of this, but this is my world and I'm controlling the narrative in here. Is it kind of how I took that. It was very, very pointed how she said that that little sentence about control. So that's I'm trying to watch this from a perspective of not overthinking it and letting it kind of be in that space of, they're gonna reveal what they reveal. And obviously this week we got a lot. We learned so much. We got so many more pieces to the puzzle. It felt like the MCU that I think a lot of people wanted in that first episode, that there was then this buildup. But yeah, I'm looking at it going, we're gonna have to figure out what to do about Wanda because she is having none of this.
I love that. I love that you say like you're kind of just sitting back and kind of just going with the flow. I don't even smoke, and I've burned through 30 packs of cigarettes watching this show. I've gone full conspiracy theory mode. I've compared myself to the guy from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, to compare myself to Shia LaBeouf in that Transformers movie.
Oh, Revenge of the Fallen, where he freaks out on the blackboard.
Exactly. 100%. So I'm definitely more so like I'm gonna theorize and assume so someone tells me I'm wrong. And it only made me feel better when the showrunners are like, no, we've seen some of you guys' theories and some of them are pretty good. And I'm like, they're talking to me. I know it. I know they're like, we saw you, Juwan, and you're on the right track.
Somewhere they're watching you on a TV screen.
Exactly. That's what I'm thinking. They're like, this guy is insane. We got to get him some help. But no, I mean, you're absolutely right. It's one of those things where it's kind of like, yeah, someone could be behind, pulling the strings. But at some point, Wanda clipped the strings, and she's kind of like, I see what you're doing. I'm going to keep it up for you. Don't worry. So I don't know, man. It's just, and then today they dropped a extended trailer for this episode that dropped. And
okay.
It's you hear Vision in the background saying, Wanda, do you seriously not see what's going on? And then she comes in with the line that you just said of, I got everything under control. And it's like, I don't know. Vision is starting to tap out of it, to where it's like, you're not going to keep fooling me. But so I like where you're going, to where it's like, let's see what they're doing here. But to me, like I said, full crazy mode over here.
Well, that's why we're only kind of nerdy over here, Juwan.
Trust me, it's less stressful that way. Do you know how stressed out I am trying to think of like, all right, where did I literally looked at the license plate of the cops, and the full license plate breaks down to 2 comics that introduce Vision and introduce Wanda and Vision. That's how insane I'm going with this. So
while we were watching it, I thought about you. I'm like, Juwan is probably not okay right now.
Nope, not even a little bit. Not even a little bit. And it's crazy because the only time I've been this insane about something is when I was trying to figure out what Jedi would show up at the end of The Mandalorian. And like, I literally lost sleep trying to figure out like, all right, who's alive? Who's canon? What's going to pop up? And then watching it, I was just like, oh, this is so beautiful. Like, you know what I'm saying? I watched that like 4 times back to back to back at 3 a.m. So this show, when it starts to get like, when it really starts to pick up,
yep.
Please call me and check on me.
I will. I'm going to set my alarm for 3 a.m.
Please do it. Just be
like, Juwan, are you okay? All right.
Yeah. And I'm going to text you back like, I don't even know if I'm in Earth anymore. I'm so gone right now. But Pete, I'll kick it over to you. Who do you think is behind the craziness over in WestView?
I'm with you, man. I'm sitting here with my fingers crossed, like, please be Mephisto, please. Because half the time, like, I'm with you. I'm reading all of the fan theories and stuff, and people like noticing Easter eggs in the background and everything. Right. And just sometimes fan theories turn out to be way better than what actually happens. So that's why I'm like, yo, please just let it be somebody big enough to warrant all of this. Like, I don't want it to just be Wanda having flipped out. Like, let Mephisto having given her the extra juice to manipulate reality the way she's doing. And I actually heard a good little, now you saw that little extra 30-second clip that Marvel released. I don't know, it was like maybe last night or something like that showed how Vision was it was going to be an end scene, a stinger scene in Endgame, where she went and found Vision's body. And now, so people are wondering, is it Vision's like reanimated corpse, or did she just blink him back into reality or whatever?
Yeah, that's creeping me out. The idea that she's like manipulating his corpse.
I so want it to be the corpse. Like, please let it be the corpse. just for the wow factor.
What's even weirder is like, she slept with that dead corpse.
That's what I was
I don't mean like
the whole
getting a
time.
good night's rest. I mean like she did the thing with that dead corpse.
Been not confused with a dead body.
Yeah, so it's like, but see, this is why I love the creativity of Marvel, because no one's freaking out about the fact that she slept with a dead dude. Like everyone's kind of just like, yeah, okay, yeah,
It might happen.
Yeah.
yeah.
They
Meanwhile,
do
we're
have a
sitting
medical
back and
term for that, by the way.
yeah, but we're sitting back and we're kind of like, no, he's dead, and that was a dead guy she was just with. But okay, you know, whatever.
I mean, he's just a robot anyway, so.
That was
does it
sure.
count?
You know, but I mean, consent is a big thing, you know.
I mean, that's like one of the dudes that, it's kind of like one of them dudes that bought one of them really fancy Japanese sex robots and she ran out of batteries, but he just did his thing anyway. I don't know.
Yeah. She's like, I spent a lot of money. You're gonna work tonight.
Yeah. I ain't got no double A's left, but we're gonna do this.
We're gonna make this work. No, for sure. Look, I'm completely with you. I'm hoping it's Mephisto. This episode only made me think it was him more. I'll get into that a little later.
Did you hear a theory that Evan Peters is Mephisto? That's why he shows up?
I did hear that theory. I did. But the only reason people have that theory is because the shot that they got of Evan Peters on set with Vision, he didn't have silver hair. He wasn't dressed as Quicksilver. So they're like, oh, we're assuming he's someone else. But I think KJ put this out there of the possibility that maybe he could be Speed when he, older, just like an older version of Speed. Because, they're aging per decade of sitcom. So, I mean, it could be they go that far into them aging, and it's like, oh, we couldn't make him Quicksilver, so we made him Speed. And obviously it won't stick because, if you want to keep the kids, you want to keep them young to put with the Young Avengers.
Right.
So, I mean, that was a theory that I was completely fine with as long as they retconned it and made them younger.
I would love to take credit for that. That was not my theory.
All right, I'm gonna go ahead and bleep that out. It was KJ's theory.
Yeah, please credit me with all of that. It makes me sound really good.
let's just keep it that it's yours,
Yep,
so we get
totally
all the credit.
Yeah, that's now canon.
It's canon now.
Thank you.
Right. But no, I mean, I like that idea. But yeah, those theories, it's crazy because I stay away from those theories because I create my own. And there's nothing worse than me going through all the trouble of thinking of a theory and then Reddit's like, oh no, dude, we thought this like a month ago. And it's like, it's the worst feeling. It's like, dang, I hate you guys.
It is. You thought you were brilliant for a second.
Right. It's like, man, I thought I was really smart. Meanwhile, Reddit's like, no, we thought this like 4 months ago when the trailer dropped. It's like, All right, Dom, I'll go to you. Who do you think is behind the events of what's going on in WestView?
I definitely think that Wanda has a lot of control, maybe the majority of the control now. But her name is Scarlet Witch, and witches and Mephisto would run hand in hand because, he's like the Dark Lord, So if she is that distraught about the events that take place, maybe she knew where to find them, or maybe that energy, since her powers like hex powers, maybe she is drawn to Mephisto's presence. That's why she ends up in WestView, WV, WandaVision, and ends up there. And it's like, look, this 5-mile radius is yours as long as you do whatever, he wants her to do, have kids or whatever the case may be. But I do think that she's not the only one that's in control, but I do think that she has like 90% of the control in that area.
Yeah, excuse me. And it's crazy because they said that, remember when the cops popped up? The cops were saying there's no such thing as WestView. Jimmy was like, what?
Where you from? Eastview.
It's like, oh, okay. So I really do think that Wanda has now created it to where what's in there is in there. And obviously we're seeing, because I think WestView has disappeared from the map, which is weird because as we're traveling with Monica, right big is a intersection that says WestView, and she gets off on it. So it's like, all right, it exists, But that lets you know, and again, to one of the things that's on Jimmy Woo's whiteboard, it says what Wanda's doing is only within a 5-mile radius. It's not wide enough that it would zap out that sign. So we're seeing that she's not that powerful to completely just like all of New Jersey's gone, you know, because I would be affected then. But you see that within that 5-mile radius, she can kind of create whatever she wants.
Now that you said that too, New Jersey Devil and Mephisto's the devil. You know,
I'm gonna just say this, Dom, as the great Ricky. No, not Ricky Bobby, but from that movie. Don't you put that evil on me, Dom. Put that evil on New Jersey.
So is Martin Brodeur gonna play Mephisto? I mean, what's going on?
Listen. Okay, guys, we're not gonna do this to New Jersey. We already don't get recognition, and the one time they want to give it to us, it's like, hey, the devil's behind it. It's like, really?
Come on, Juwan, don't you want to live in Westview with Wanda? You go through the decades of sitcom. It sounds great.
Not really. I'd like to have my own brains going. You know, not have her manipulate it for me, but. It's not fair. New Jersey, now they're attributing it to the devil, but like New York literally has a Hell's Kitchen, and it's like, no, we'll skip that. It's a New
yeah, but see, our like Hell's Kitchen's kind of cool. Daredevil lives there, so it's fine.
So, I mean, who do we have in New Jersey in the comics? We have Miss Marvel. She's from New Jersey, you know.
See, like, there you go. You got her.
Something. Yeah, but no one cares. Anyway, Tia, I'm going around asking everybody who they think is behind the events of Westview. We've got a few different answers, but you know, the only one that matters is Mephisto. But anyway, who do you think is behind the events of Westview?
I mean, it's super interesting. Obviously, I don't know if you put this, but you know, spoiler alerts, obviously, for those who are listening in. But I mean, at the end of the episode, when Monica says, you know, it's all Wanda, for a second there, I was like, wow, what if it is all Wanda? Like, what if there is no other answer other than the fact that it's Wanda, which is like, you know, obviously we've been sitting here talking about the fact that she's probably going to be in a villain role in the future, especially maybe for either Spider-Man 3 or Doctor Strange 2. But it's just crazy to think about, because this is like Wanda. She's probably one of the most beloved MCU characters. We've gone with her throughout the years, and to think it's like, my God, now I'm kind of like maybe not rooting for you in the sense that you need to kind of calm down. But then at the same time, is that put there to redirect us and not have us looking for the fact that there is something else deeper there. Obviously, you know that I don't know a whole lot about the comics, so I can't say directly that it's Mephisto because I have no opinion with that. But I'll take your guys' word if you think that it's him. But again, it's like one or two things. It's either something else is really behind this, and it's just them putting that line out to kind of confuse us or, you know, put us in a different direction, or this is actually all Wanda. And we're seeing just how powerful she is and how like much she has changed. Because like, it was scary a little at the end of that, where Vision was looking at her and he kind of looked scared. I mean, Vision's very powerful, and if Vision is looking scared at Wanda, you're like, oh, this isn't the cute, happy couple that we got in, like, say, the first 3 episodes, where you're like, oh my God, they're so adorable, love will conquer all. And then you're like, oh, Wanda's kind of keeping Vision hostage.
Yes.
Yeah, Wanda's my kind of crazy. I think that's a lot of fun. But KJ, what we got from the comment section?
Michelle agrees with you, Tia, that she thinks it's Wanda. Let's see.
Listener Jim.
Listener Jim said this is the most fun you can have on a Saturday night with your pants on. So that's very nice. Thank you, Jim.
Thank you for that, Jim, for sure.
JD said, Jimmy Woo said he was from Bakersfield. Isn't that in New Jersey and where War of the Worlds happened?
Yeah, unfortunately, they do a lot of destruction in our town. Some of that Joker movie was shot in New Jersey. So apparently we get all the crazy and the chaos, meanwhile New York is just like, oh, hey, we're just better than you.
I mean, but they did film some of the Joker also in the Bronx. So,
I'm curious if that was any of the bad stuff or like just when he went home.
It was the stairs. Because
look, come on,
because it was
iconic stairs.
Well, I was just gonna say because it was one of those things that for like months afterwards, people were literally flocking to take pictures. And I was seeing online people from the Bronx were like, "Can you guys please stop coming to our freaking city just to take pictures?
Relax."
I'm trying to go to work.
No one ever comes to New Jersey. No one's ever like, "Oh man, that car drove by there. Let's go to that street." No, everyone just avoids New Jersey. So. Just what we have to deal with.
Super Green Flash of Tomorrow wants to know why do you think they revealed that it's all Wanda so soon with 5 episodes left? Is it misdirection?
100%. 100%. Yes, 100%. But also, I wanted to respond to Tia's pick of Wanda. 2 things can be true. Wanda could be in control of what's happening, but not knowing that she's truly being manipulated to doing all these things. Again, it's exactly how the comics went, to where Wanda was kind of just causing all this chaos, and it was kind of like, why is she doing this? Like, first of all, I do want to give a shout out to Angel, who couldn't be on tonight, but me and Angel were saying it was Jimmy Woo behind that microphone.
Yeah.
Yep.
I thought about that as soon as they showed it. I was like, they were right.
Angel messaged me 3:30 a.m. and was like, we told him. I'm like, Angel, I know, man. I know. But yeah, I do think there's a reason why he specifically asked that. I think it was a double entendre. I think it was him trying to figure out what was going on, but also to kind of let the audience know, like, there could be something else at work here. More so than just Wanda going crazy. So, to put that out there. But all right, do we have any more comments before we get into the actual episode?
I don't know if you want to hear this, but JD did remind you that Jersey Girl was shot in Jersey.
We have no recollection of that. I have no recollection of that.
And she hasn't put it in the comments, but last night in our kind of nerdy night in that we do in the Kind of Nerdy Network, Michelle said she went and got the book of M that you recommended. Mm-hmm. Didn't help her at all. She's still equally confused.
Well, the best thing I can tell you is please come here and ask all the questions. I'll try to help you out as best I can. But yeah, those books are probably the biggest clarification. But again, I always warn people, the comics are good and bad when it comes to the MCU. The good is it's a roadmap. The bad is they always take a left turn to where it's like, oh, wait, that's not what they did in the comics. So it's like, it's having the knowledge isn't always a great thing because they like to veer off.
It just gives you a loose base of what to deal with.
Very loose base. Like, again, I always compare it to Civil War. Was a very loose base of what they did in the comics.
Okay.
Like, for example, a lot of people didn't even know the scene at the end of that first Spider-Man movie where Stark shows him the new suit. And then he's like, we got the press ready for you. That's from the Civil War comic where Stark convinced Peter to reveal who he was to the world. And then, he had the Iron Spider costume. So that was a nod to Civil War without even being in the movie Civil War. So like I said, everything is very loose. You kind of got to know to know. But even knowing, it's like, it gets you where you are with WandaVision, having no idea about what's going on. But all right, to get us into episode 4 of WandaVision, what a crazy way to start this episode. I want to just ask everyone, give me a thumbs up if you noticed or really heard the dialogue at the beginning of the episode.
I think so.
So you guys heard.
You don't remember 10 minutes ago.
Yeah, can I get an answer from the audience here?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, okay. So for anyone that did hear it, great. Anyone that didn't hear it, it was pretty much just a conversation between Monica and her mom, kind of just letting us know that after the events of Captain Marvel, Monica's mom sent her to live with her grandmother while she
yeah.
went to go do what we assume is build sword missions with Captain Marvel. So it was kind of just letting us know the background of her and her mom before us knowing like, oh, her mom gone. You know,
Yeah.
like it was kind of just like it was meant
very
to
quick
hit us a
too.
little hard. Right. It
Yeah,
was
wasn't that like brushed over super fast? Because like Maria was a pretty integral part of, say, Captain Marvel, and you know, Carol getting her memories back. Like she felt like she was going to be a pretty important person, and then they're like, she died.
Yeah.
Sorry.
but I do think the significance of Monica's mother is that, again, I told you guys in the comics who created Sword. It looked like Fury created Sword at the end of that Spider-Man movie. We now know that's not true. Monica's mother is who helped create Sword. So it seems as though Sword was a sister branch to S.H.I.E.L.D. But now that S.H.I.E.L.D. doesn't exist anymore, Sword is the overall spectrum of protecting everything that's going on Earth.
Well,
So
and
it's
I
really
wonder,
up-
Tia, if you know, her mother's not going to get, like, they just needed to do that because I mean, WandaVision is, they're these short episodes, and that it was sort of like a cue, like, look, she's gone, and then like, look what she did to help found Sword, and when we get to Captain Marvel 2, that they'll kind of fill in more of her story, because it was in this episode, it was kind of like, well, she was kind of a big deal, and we're not going to talk about that, but that maybe that was just sort of an editing decision to introduce it, get us to Monica, and then we'll get more of Maria
and
later.
to expand on that just a little bit, I loved how they did that, because it kind of showed the levity and the reality of what happened after everyone was snapped back.
Right.
So it actually, you know, it's like, oh, well, someone that did have cancer, you know, you've been gone 5 years, but in 3 years, there's a lot of people that could have died that you were used to as well. So like giving like that, to me, that scene was super emotional, and like it lent a lot of gravity to it. And I loved that they started this episode out that way.
Well,
And they gave a nod. Oh, go ahead, Theo.
I'm sorry. I just wanted to say really quick, I did find that scene important because, yeah, so in Endgame, when Spider-Man comes back and he says, oh my God, we were on the planet, and then then we're back on the planet. Doctor Strange is saying we got to do this. And you get in your head like, oh, time kind of didn't pass for them, but you don't really grasp that until this happens, where 1 minute Monica is sitting in their chair and the next minute she's like, where's my mom? You said that the surgery was successful. So it's like, wow, these people really have no concept that they were gone for 5 years. It didn't even feel like that. So it's like, where were they?
Yes.
So that just leads to even bigger questions.
Yeah, and okay, so they also did a nod to the cover of House of M, where it shows Wanda's face kind of being distorted.
Mm-hmm.
The nod was when you saw Monica coming back. If you guys remember from Far From Home, that's not how people reassembled. There was a reason why they paid so close attention to Monica's face. It was supposed to be a nod to the cover of House of M, where you see how distorted Wanda's face is as the pieces of her are either going away or coming together. So that was a little nod. But before I pass it to the first person to give me their thoughts on this episode, I wanted to bring up something that I'm almost 100% sure a lot of people heard but didn't pay attention to. And that's a little forward in the episode where we see Monica walking with the God, I have his name here. I can't remember his name. I completely forgot his name. Shoot, I completely forgot his name.
The director of Sword?
The director of Sword, yes. Where she's walking with him and he's saying how they have Sword has test pilots that they're sending into space for projects. Guys, pay attention to that. That is how you will get your Fantastic Four in the MCU. They will fly them into space.
Yeah.
They will go a place that will generate powers, and they will come back to Earth. And I believe Feige will play with it a little bit to where Fantastic Four will work for Sword, but Sword will give them that tower to work out of to do their work, but they'll be an extension of Sword, which will be way different than anything we've ever seen before. But instead of them working just for the government per se, they'll be working for Sword and Nick Fury.
You heard the guy already say half of our astronauts aren't back yet. They're still dusted.
Right. Yep.
What if they're the 4 of them that are not there yet?
Yeah. Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah, excellent point.
He also mentions sentient beings that Sword has come across throughout the decades. Cough, cough, X-Men. I mean, you know, it's like it's in your face right there. So I just want to
already dropping Silver Surfer. I mean, are they already dropping that, hinting towards that?
I mean, it could be where the Fantastic Four ventured off to. Could have been where Norrin Conrad, you know, his planet. I mean, there's so many different places that they could have gone. But who knows? I'm just saying, when they said test pilot, it's like if you're watching a DC movie and they're like, yeah, we sent a test pilot into space and he's like one of our best pilots, you'd immediately go, oh, Hal Jordan, right?
Yep.
So it's like when you hear test pilots in Marvel, you're like, I know some guys that did some piloting that came out a little different, you know. So those are just the 2 things I wanted to throw out there. But Pete, I want to actually start with you, man. Your thoughts on this episode 4 of WandaVision?
First of all, I loved having Darcy back. I love Kat Dennings. She's great. She's got that really fantastic, dry comedic delivery. So she was just the highlight of the whole episode for me. I got to get this off my chest. There was one little thing that bothered me, and that was like everybody standing in front of this invisible dome that, you know, has WestView in it. And one of the cars was facing in the opposite direction. Like, did you guys make a U-turn? Because you would have figured out, boom, they would have drove through the dome, and then they can't get out of something. Why is that car in the other direction? Somebody went in, they figured it out. Okay, we got to make a U-turn right here. Like, I don't know. That was just me being a little bit nitpicky about it. I was like, nobody seen the cops leave, nothing. They were facing in that direction.
It's always the little things.
I know I'm being super nerdy, and part of me is just like the driver aspect of me. Like, nobody made a U-turn there. What happened? Where'd they go? But honestly, I liked this. Like, we saw so much of what was going on within Wanda's little world there that I'm sitting there wondering, how far does this reach out to? And seeing We Interrupt This Program was a great title for the episode in the first place. And seeing how everything was being affected around her, how far her influence goes, and what everybody else has been up to. Having everybody blip back in, I fully agree. That was just a very emotional scene. Everybody's running around in chaos because, you said it yourself, in Far From Home, everybody just blinked back. This one, they actually dusted back in. I like that little attention to detail. And I have to raise this question for you. Now, we all know Monica Rambeau gets her photon powers at some point. Do you think getting thrown by Wanda through the force field was how she's going to get her powers?
I'll tell you this. It's a slippery slope if that is how she gets her powers. Because then you'll have people saying, is Wanda how we get mutants? Is Wanda's, will she explode her powers? That does so in a way that more people get abilities. And
they did say she was radiating.
They did.
Yes.
They did.
Prehistoric radiation.
Yeah, it's a real slippery slope. Like, it's dangerous to do that. But who knows? I mean, we do know that, we assume that Monica at some point had space missions. Very well could be that. We do know that her mom sorry, not her mom. We do know she had interactions with Captain Marvel. There could have been events in the fight there that maybe some of that radiation from Captain Marvel got to her. There's just different ways. There's a gap of time that's missing from the last time we saw Monica and right now. Last time we saw her, she was a child, and now she's a grown woman. So all that time could have been when she got it. But it's not out of the realm of possibility to believe that being thrown throughout reality couldn't have changed the person a little bit.
So now, what would you prefer, though? Would you prefer that Wanda kind of creates mutants, or were they from another Earth and, Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness will kind of handle their origin?
I prefer Another Earth only because the visual of Wanda saying just the word mutants at the end of this series, and we seeing like Magneto stick his arm out, or a portal where it's showing like Genosha, like certain things like that, I would just prefer. But if you have it to where Wanda's giving people powers, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I'd get over it very quickly because I have Wolverine now. I would hate it for like 5 minutes for sure. I really honestly would. But I don't know. To me, honestly, I want Wolverine. You could tell me Iron Man created mutants. I wouldn't care.
I'm amenable that they just exist. They're already there, and the only one who knew about it was Nick Fury. Didn't tell nobody.
Yeah,
because he's a liar and a secret keeper. I'm good.
I mean, the only question would be, it's impossible that high-level events have not happened since the first day mutants were discovered all the way to now. And that's why I said it would have been great if we had, obviously no one knew, but if we had waited on doing the Civil War movie, you could have had that international incident be something from mutants that restarted the war between humans and mutants that now reinvigorates, like, where does Wanda stand? Is she going to go with her people? She going to side with humans that have been on her side? So, I mean, that just would have been ideal. But there's no way you're telling me Magneto's been quiet
Right.
for 50 years. No way. He's killed some people in that time.
I like your statement, though. Like, I'd have to use that. I'll get over it quick. I'm okay.
Sure. Yeah. That's when it comes to comic book stuff, I'll get over it quick, but that 4 to 5 minutes are going to be painful for me to get through. Did everybody notice the nod from Jimmy Woo to Ant-Man and the Wasp with his card?
Yep.
Yes, that was
that was awesome.
That's how I was going to start my bit. I was going to be
let's
like,
go right to you.
I was going to be like, let's give Jimmy a round of applause for finally learning how to do the card trick.
Right.
But think about it, though. Think about it. Here's my biggest question. If I ever got to interview him, I'd ask him, how long does he think it took Jimmy Woo to master? Because remember, the end of Ant-Man is, the timeline is different now to where this show takes place. It's 4 or 5 years later. So it's like time has passed. So it's like, how long have you been trying to master that?
right.
I got it last week.
Yeah, he's like, I mastered it this morning. That's why I was like, all right, I got to make sure I do something.
That was actually the first time that he did it. He was like, holy shit. And inwardly, he was like...
Was. You know what's even funnier to you? I imagine in my head, he probably did that to everybody new he met. Like, where someone was like, hey, who are you? It's like, oh, I'm and like the car just start flying everywhere. And he's like, damn it. But yeah, that was a really nice callback. But Tia, your thoughts on this episode of WandaVision?
Yeah, I really liked this episode. I thought it was a nice reprieve in the show. We've been doing episode by episode, going through the sitcoms, going through the wackiness of Wanda and Vision, which is great. But this was a little bit more grounded. We got to see it from the other perspective, and I enjoyed. It's like, I really like Jimmy Woo's character, but his character was so small in the Ant-Man movie that I didn't think too much of it. But it's like, who knew that an episode primarily led by him and Darcy would be so enjoyable? And I'll be fair, like, no disrespect, but I actually couldn't stand Darcy before this. When I heard that she was coming back, I was like, God, no, I thought like we had gotten rid of her and Jane and all the people who were annoying in the past. But it really goes, no, but I'll say that it really goes to show like how different directors can accomplish things, because I thought that Darcy was really good in this episode, just like how, Chris Hemsworth was never my favorite in the MCU until frickin' Thor Ragnarok. And it's like, it really goes to show what like good writing and a good director can do. So I did like Darcy. I love the little quirkiness with her, how you could tell she's matured, but also has maintained her personality. And I love it because it did give me first Thor feels, how they're all set up around there, just like how they were all set up around Thor's hammer in the first movie. So I'm just saying I really enjoy it. I really like seeing how they're tackling everything on the other side while all this is going on. in that little bubble. I loved Darcy and Jimmy watching the sitcom, and you know, when like they're like just Darcy going, "What? I'm invested."
Yeah.
You know, it was just so great. The ending was just so magnificent with all of that, just kind of how ominous that was. It's Wanda. It's all Wanda. And as I said, Vision's scared look of Wanda was just so amazing. So yeah, this episode is great, and I thought that it was a nice break in what we've been seeing. I still don't know where we're moving forward in this show, and that's perfectly fine. I'm here for the ride.
I will say Jimmy Woo, Darcy, and the guy from Ant-Man and Wasp that tells like those really elongated stories.
Oh my
have,
God.
like a road trip show together.
Oh, Michael Pena, yeah.
Yeah, to where they're just recapping everything that they've each individually went through in the MCU. Like if there should be a MCU recap show to where they recap all the events that have happened to this moment, like before a new show or a new movie starts, and those three have to narrate it. Because when I tell you, it would be the most fun anybody has ever had.
Well, it was a crime that they didn't have Michael Pena explain the entirety of the MCU before Endgame happened. Like, just to explain, like the fact that they didn't give him a little spot to do that is like, that would have been great.
I will say, because we have Dopinder in Deadpool. I'm not against Michael Pena making a cameo in the next Deadpool movie. Wow. To where Deadpool's like, where am I and what the hell's happened? And
he's like, let me explain.
Like, let me break this down for you.
That would be fantastic.
That would, oh man, give the Oscar to whoever those writers are, if that ever happens. But I want to go to the fan questions real quick. I see it's flooding a little bit. I want to answer some of these questions. What do we got, KJ?
Yeah, quite a few. I'm gonna kind of go to some of the more our recent ones. Not necessarily a question, but JD pointing out the jump rope remaining a jump rope in the regular world foreshadows that Wanda's powers still have an effect on the regular world. Well, your thoughts on that?
No, he's right, but we knew that from when Monica got projected. And she still had the same clothes on that she had in that reality. That let us know, like, okay, certain things in here come out, you know, the same way or a different way. Sorry. So yeah, no, he's absolutely right. That jump rope was pretty cool. It was weird that it turned into a jump rope. It was just like,
yeah,
why? But okay.
Yeah. And then also, has anyone seen anything further on this question about why Emma Caulfield had to be approved specifically by Kevin Feige to play Dottie, but none of the other support characters needed to be approved?
I haven't seen anything on that.
Yeah, I don't know anything about that. It makes me excited though. She's a Buffy alum, so I love her. If that means that she has some sort of bigger role somewhere.
A lot of people are speculating she could be the manifestation of Mephisto. I don't see it. I mean, again, as long as I get him, I don't care how wrong I am on how I got him.
And I also wanted to say about Michelle's comment about seeing Vision dead for that 2 seconds. It was so jarring.
It was.
I was just like, at first I didn't know what I was looking at. I was like, something looks different with Vision. Then it's like, I don't know, you know, where your brain kind of pauses for a second because it's like you didn't expect to see that. It wasn't, say, a jump scare. It was like almost like a slow and quick realization. I was like, oh my God.
Oh, it was terrible. That was one of the things I was going to bring up.
I'm sorry, KJ.
No. It's fine. But it was a moment in the episode where I don't know why, but it took a second. And then you're like, yeah, he's dead. Like,
yeah, I mean, you say it wasn't a jump scare, but I don't know if you watched it at 3 a.m. like I did. That I was just like, whoa, what? Like, okay, yeah, I mean, I knew that, but whoa, like a warning or something before you do that.
Well, it's also messed up because then it's like you remember that really was the last time that Wanda saw Vision. Mm-hmm. So that's clearly burned in her head.
Yeah, I also would like to believe there was an easier way for Thanos to obtain that stone, but it was just like,
He don't give a shit. You think he
Yeah.
was gonna care?
Like, I don't
Yep.
have time. And when you guys
now, there's no
rewatch it,
point where Thanos is like, "What's the most humane way to?"
Yeah,
do
let me
this?"
take some
That is
tweezers
true. That is
and
true.
like, you
but
know.
when you go back and watch it and you look at how big his hands are compared to Vision's head, it's like, yeah, that was the only way he could have gotten that stone.
Yeah, he was trying to pinch it out anyways.
Yeah, he was.
His fingers
He
are
was like,
12
all right.
inches in diameter.
Right. He was like, how carefully can I up big finger? Sorry. But I want to point out something also before I go to you, KJ, and Patrick on your thoughts on the episode. Many people probably didn't catch it. It was pretty quick. When Monica walks into the room with the new director of Sword, all of his achievements on his wall are in a hexagon shape.
Yes.
All in a hexagon shape. Hexagons mean something. Mephisto, cough, cough. But they mean something for sure. Also, I want to throw out a little bit of caution that I have on his character for two reasons. One, I do believe he sent Monica on a mission that he did not think she would come back from. And two, Jimmy Woo mentions they were looking for a missing person that he never gives you a name for. I do believe that this director is more mischievous than we're kind of attributing it to. I think he could have maybe struck a deal with the devil to get Monica out of the way to secure his spot as the director of Sword, because it's supposed to go to Monica. Obviously, her mom created it. It's in her bloodline.
Yeah, and even though she's sitting there going like, even though he's sitting there going like, I'm so sorry, it should have been you, but you know, ended up being me. It's like that's just him BS.
I compare it to when Obadiah Stane was like, man, Stark, I love you. And it was like, oh, I love you too. And it was like, but I have to kill you. Like, so that's what I compare that to. But yeah, so I think we need to pay more attention to his character. And again, all his achievements on that wall being shaped in a hexagon. I see you, Feige. I see you. But KJ and Patrick, what were you guys' thoughts on this episode?
I loved it. Like I said earlier, I love the way it started out with everyone coming back after the 5 years and really putting the human aspect into that, like experiencing like that loss, like the confusion and loss right off the bat, which I thought was fantastic setup. I mean, and a lot of what everyone's been saying, it's great to see Kat Dennings back. It's great to see, Agent Woo. It's great, like it's so fun. It was a very fun episode, but yet a very serious and semi concerning episode as well. And I really dug the progression.
And I just thought it was nice. We knew, well, not everybody, because there have been, people have complained that maybe this is slow, it's confusing, they're not sticking with it. But anyone who maybe hasn't stuck with it, well, we've spoiled everything for you. But it was like, it kind of felt like we're home. Like this is the MCU that we know. And to some of the criticism that I've seen of why couldn't they have gotten to this quicker? Why couldn't they have started it out this way? I think it's because we needed to be a little uncomfortable. We needed to not have all of the answers and to kind of be wondering what's going on, to build up to the point where when we hit this episode, it was so emotional and it allowed us to see, Wanda isn't living in this little world in her head that's just hers. She's having a really big impact on everyone around her. And she kind of like what Tia said, she's scary, and are we going down a path where we're going to be really uncomfortable watching Wanda's character develop and unfold to a place where it's like, man, I used to really like her.
It's like I used to root for you, and now you're holding people hostage, or holding Vision hostage.
I'm getting Mephisto. I'm still rooting for her. I'm like, exert more chaos magic.
Just like how beautiful it was that they could take these characters like Jimmy Woo, who could, seem not really very significant.
Just one-offs, yeah.
And, and put them into this episode, and you're like, yeah, I love that guy. Yeah, and like, and he's leading this episode. How cool. It just makes you realize that there are so many little things along this journey of the MCU that could come into play that you hadn't even thought about before. And they've been thinking about it all. They've been building it all. So it really was sort of a testament to the plan that they have for the MCU moving forward and how much work they've put into every single character that they are building in every single part of the MCU.
Yeah, and what I think is special about this episode is all the players are on the board now. That's what we've been waiting for 3 weeks, is for all the players to be on the board. So, we know what we got. Let's just move forward. But to everyone who was dying to get to this moment, don't enjoy it too much. Next week, they'll probably be back in sitcom form.
Which is great, though.
Gone. Yeah,
which is great.
Gone. They're going to continue because they're supposed to progress with the times of these certain sitcoms.
But the cool thing is, like, every single week, the episode's been better than the last episode. There hasn't been a stagnant, just toe the line episode. It just keeps going and going and going.
Right.
And it's getting better and better as it goes.
I mean, I think episode 1, I compare it to that episode 2 or 3 of The Mandalorian, where they went to that alien planet and it was like those huge spiders.
Yep.
It was the most filler episode of filler.
Right.
It was the worst.
Like if someone came to you and was like, hey, I missed that episode, what did I miss? You would go, absolutely nothing.
Nothing. You missed a couple X-Wings. That's it.
I mean,
damn thing.
The only important thing you missed really was Baby Yoda just murdering that poor frog lady's baby.
He was hungry. Stop it.
Outside of that, nothing.
Oh, gosh.
But again,
I had to repress that whole episode. You're bringing it back. Stop.
But no, again, stories have to have progression. And I think what a lot of people aren't really getting used to is when you get Marvel content, it's in a movie form. So you don't get the slow build. It has to be fast paced because it's a 2-hour movie.
But people forget that, like, I love the Defenders universe on Netflix, but there are a few of those shows that, like, the first 3 episodes were so slow to get to the point, and all of those episodes were almost an hour long. At least for this, it's like 24 minutes, 30 minutes. It's not that long,
right?
And it's getting there, it's slowly getting there. Whereas opposed to if you're a Defenders universe fan, there's like what. The first season of like Luke Cage took freaking 5 episodes to get to.
Oh my gosh, so long.
Dude.
You know what I'm saying?
It was like 8 episodes of just coffee talk before it was like, all right, here's a story. And it was like, oh, thank you. We thought
yeah.
On the reverse, though, like, we had 22 minutes in this episode. I wish it was a little bit longer, though.
I do too.
Yes.
Honestly, they're keeping it the same format. Like, a lot of people don't know this. When you watch your favorite sitcom like Modern Family, it says it's 30 minutes. It's only 25 minutes because those other 5 minutes are commercials. Yeah. So it's keeping it within the parameters of what your standard sitcom show's time format would usually be. We just are so greedy. We're like, hey, more minutes. And they're like, relax.
I think part of it is that streaming concept too, because there are streaming shows that are of like a sitcom nature that are going for like 30 minutes. And even if they come a little closer to 30, I would have felt like they nailed it. But I mean, it's minor gripes. I mean, the show's been fantastic from the get-go. So
yeah, to me, I kind of feel like their whole purpose is to leave you with as many questions as you came in with. And the best way to do that is to shorten it. Because if they gave you an hour and they answered nothing, you'd be like, what was that whole hour for? Right. So when they shrink it, you're kind of like, okay, I get it. You're trying to string us along to where we get to that moment where things start to become a little bit more clear. I will be curious of down the line how much longer episodes will be. I wouldn't be shocked if the last 2 or 3 episodes were about 45 minutes to an hour long. It's just a build-up. I mean, the time for The Mandalorian varied within episodes. It wasn't the same timeline the entirety of the series. So I think that's what we can expect for that.
Yeah, I think people have to remember too that these are characters that we don't know a lot about. Most of the screen time in the movies were Captain America and Iron Man. So these are characters that like essentially a lot of people don't care about that much. So you have to let them showcase personality and some story, so you actually care about what's going to happen to them. Because if you're just watching it for like action, you watch it and then you regurgitate it later and like I don't care. But if you get invested to these characters, you like the show that much more. And we have shows like this where we're breaking down every single little thing. You know what I mean? So I think people got to like get off this TikTok mindset of like I want everything real quick and like let the shit breathe.
No, you're right. Because if you go back to when Wanda and Vision were introduced in the MCU, they weren't the focus, not even a little bit, in Age of Ultron. Like, you know, they were there, but the focus was obviously Ultron and the Avengers.
And Hawkeye.
Yeah, Hawkeye.
Yeah.
That was in that Avengers bubble. You will not keep slandering Hawkeye.
I'm with you. At some point, Juwan, you and I are going to have a talk with Tia about Hawkeye.
Oh, for sure. 100%. We get so much disrespect from over there. And I'm like,
it's ridiculous.
Great. No, but I want to move on a little bit here. I want to talk about, before I go to the next person to give their thoughts, I want to talk about what was on Jimmy Woo's board that a lot of people might have missed out on. I see Leo. The glaring thing that was on Jimmy Woo's board that I know a lot of people, and please, if this had anything to do with anyone's thoughts on the episode, interject so I can just pass it to you. But the biggest thing on Jimmy Woo's board was he had on the left side of the screen, and it was kind of off screen, who could be behind this? And right underneath that question was Skrulls.
Yep.
So it lets us know that Jimmy Woo is very aware of Skrulls. But the reason why that was glaring to me is only Monica and Fury know that there are such thing as good Skrulls.
Right.
So I would be curious to see what Monica's reaction is when she sees Skrulls on the board and she goes, erase that. Like, don't go assuming that, you know, it's necessarily that.
Quick question, being kind of nerdy before, because I don't know the whole thing. Wouldn't the director of Sword also know about the Skrulls?
Yeah,
Sure.
I think that's how Jimmy Woo has his information.
Okay.
I think it's a collaborative effort. I think that's how.
Okay, gotcha.
Information.
Question on the question.
Yeah, absolutely.
I thought that, and maybe I'm misremembering here. Wasn't Nick Fury and the Skrulls already recognized by Sword, or no? So are they just separate?
No, Sword knows of it because at the end of Far From Home, we see that he's interacting with Skrulls, so they're aware of it. But remember this: it's like people. There's good people, bad people. So I think if they're aware that there are good Skrulls, they're also aware that there's bad ones. And let's not forget, one of the Marvel Disney Plus series that are coming is Secret Invasion. So it's cracking the door for what will eventually kick the door open of what bad Skrulls really could do, which are Super Skrulls. So we'll get to that.
Yeah, I thought that based on what we saw in Captain Marvel, that we have an understanding that Skrulls are out there, or at least the agency understands that, and they were accepting their place in the universe. And maybe to your point, maybe that they're evil or good, they don't really have an understanding. But at least I thought they had an understanding, okay, there is life among us. Because they have that walk through the hangar bay, and then they were talking about how Sword operates and how things have changed while she was blipped away. And I just wanted to make sure that was clear, because maybe I was reading it wrong. But
no, and you and Leo came in after we were talking about it, but I was saying he brought up that they had test pilots that they sent off into space, and I was saying how that is probably how we'll get Fantastic Four. They were saying some of them haven't come back yet, so it's a really good chance when you're talking about super beings and stuff like that, and then test pilots. It's like hand in hand. Yeah. But Tia, I'll kick it over to you.
Just one quick thing I was just gonna say is Jimmy Woo is FBI, so who knows how much information he has about Skrulls. So Sword could perfectly know that there are like these good Skrulls and all that, but you know, I'm just saying, like, we don't know what happened within those 5 years of time where if like Jimmy had some bad experience with a Skrull and he doesn't know the backstory of Skrulls with Sword and Monica and Captain Marvel and all that, because he's FBI, so he's a different division. So that's the only thing I wanted to say.
Remember also, the government has shown throughout the first Avengers movie to Civil War, you can tell me how good someone is. I don't trust it.
Right.
I mean, look, how many times has Hulk and Thor saved the Earth? What was the first thing Ross said in Civil War? Like, do you know where they are? Like, that's a problem that you don't know where they are.
Yeah.
And it's like, why would it be a problem if they're heroes? So the government has shown, you can tell me how good they are. I just don't trust it. I don't trust it unless I can control it. So
I do think
it's
it's significant that Jimmy Woo knows about the Skrulls.
fair.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, because like you said, Tia, he's FBI. So then what does that mean? Does the FBI have a lot of information about this now? Or does Jimmy have some sort of personal experience or history where he knows about it?
It also, I do want to also point out, we never saw him write it. It's a good chance that someone else wrote it and he's adding to the list of things. So there's many possibilities to go to from there. I want to also give a nod to Jimmy Woo for, I love how he's freaking out for the same things that we're freaking out about. It's like breaking a fourth wall. Yeah. His board literally had all the questions we've been asking since episode 1, which is why hexagons? Remember, I just brought up in the director's office, it's shaped in hexagons. Why sitcoms? We've also been asking that. Is this the same time and space? We've also been asking that. And then, of course, the glaring question, is Vision alive? We now know that to be 100% confirmed that he's not, based off of Wanda at the end of this episode. But I love how meta they are about acknowledging what we've been acknowledging. So that means when they were creating the show, they were like, they're not going to know what the hell any of this is about. So let's let them know that the characters also have no idea what the hell any of this is about. So I love how meta they are in that sense. And I love that Jimmy Woo is just kind of like, I saw a guy shrink and grow really large. This is way outside of what I get paid to deal with. So I love that. We also have confirmation that Darcy was the hand of the person at the end of episode 2 that was writing in the notepad. We also have confirmation that, there have been more episodes than the 4 that we've seen. Darcy and Jimmy Woo have experienced way more episodes of this show than we have seen as the viewers.
At least extended cuts.
Right, they have extended cuts that they've probably
the director's cuts.
Right, it's probably been in the same generation of sitcoms, just more episodes of those in those generations. So I thought that was really cool that we were watching them watch them. Like, if that makes any sense. Like, it was like cool. It was like having like a billion different windows open that are all windows of the same thing. So I thought that was really cool. But all right, I'll pass. Oh, last thing. A lot of people made a big deal about Agnes not being on the board. Agnes is on the board. But the thing you should make a big deal about is the fact that Agnes is the only person on that board without a New Jersey license. It showcases she is not from there, also hinting at the idea that she maybe should not be there. So that's what you should pay attention to. And again, Tia, the lady that Wanda got in an argument with and broke the glass in her hand, people are making a big deal that she's not on the board. I really do think her character is not important, and a lot of people are looking too much into her. I don't think she's that important. I think she wasn't on the board because they just hadn't gotten to her file yet. They weren't going to spend like 15 minutes putting each person that you've seen on that board. So I think it was just more so that. But the glaring thing is Agnes not having a New Jersey license. And if she doesn't have the license, why is she there? And Leo, I see you, so I'll go to you. Your thoughts on that, and then your thoughts on the episode.
Oh man, well, I got that question, and my other question is, why is Dottie not on there at all? So we got everybody.
I think it's not that important.
I don't know, man. I think they might be glazing over her, and she's gonna be more important than we think. I don't know. Maybe she is just a character.
Yep.
But
because
I'm kind of
her
thinking
hand was bleeding.
Her hand was bleeding. It was in color. And everybody is like following her. And I know that's a sitcom trope to have, you know, the woman, the leader woman of the neighborhood, but I think there's something going on there because unlike what happened with her and Monica in this episode where she actually threw Monica out of Westview, she didn't throw Dottie out when Dottie was questioning her first. And I was wondering, like, okay, Dottie kind of gave her that look too, like, who are you? What are you doing here? And nothing happened there. Like, she didn't throw her out. She didn't question why she was questioning her. But the moment Monica spits Ultron, Monica's got to go. So I'm wondering if Dottie has some kind of connection with Agnes, if they're working together, possibly, if she's possibly a witch. I heard on the stream a little bit earlier, possibly is Dottie possibly either Mephisto or planted there directly by Mephisto?
Well,
oh my God, so many questions.
To me, Agnes is planted there because, again, her not having that New Jersey license shows that she probably should not be there.
For sure.
And she's there for a reason. Again, look, I can't say anyone's wrong. I didn't write the show. I have no idea. But to me, I just feel as though they haven't shown us enough Dottie for me to kind of get suspicious of it. Dottie was the focus for that one moment. And then it was kind of just like, all right, I'll say this, Leo. If Dottie has more of a focus, and I don't even mean like she's the focus of the episode, just more, more standout moments like that, I think then I would lean more towards that. But honestly, I don't know. My mindset is we've obviously seen there's a lot of dangerous coming from beneath, obviously insinuating hell. I really do believe that Agnes is the person that will lead Mephisto to Wanda and lead Mephisto to the power of Wanda. But I also want to point this out. Did anyone see the extended trailer that they put out today where it was an extension of this episode. It wasn't like what to expect of next week. But
a little more than that even.
Okay. All I'm going to speak to is this. We see and we've seen this before in the trailer, so this is nothing crazy. We see Vision goes up to Agnes, touches her head, and she kind of zaps out of it. So I really do think Agnes was sent there. She didn't know how powerful Wanda was. Wanda is so powerful, she zaps out everyone's memory and creates a new one for you. So I really do think Agnes is really teetering in between knowing and not knowing why she's there. And Vision kind of like zaps her out of it. Kind of like in House of M comics, we saw Wolverine zapping people kind of out of the trance that they were in. So I'm like, Vision, once he kind of figures out like, wait a minute, none of this is how it should be, I think we'll start seeing him zap people out of it. And those certain people will give us clues to what really is going on. Because all those people know what the world was before Wanda got there. Those are glaring clues that we all need that I'm sure at some point we'll get a little bit more information to.
Didn't Vision also kind of zap Norm? Norm's concerned about, I think it's like, he's concerned about people in his family, but as soon as Vision lets go, then he snaps back into Norm. He went from his actual self to... Yeah.
Okay, so what Dom's referring to is there's notes on Jimmy Woo's board under Norm that says Norm was snapped out of it, and then immediately started having questions about how his parents are, is his family okay? So hearing that people can be snapped out of it lets us know that at some point Vision will catch on to that and will start snapping people out of their trance to figure out what's going on. But KJ, I'll kick it to you. We got some questions.
Well, we just got we've got some heated responses to you thinking that Dottie is not important.
Telling you, Dottie's got a role in this, y'all.
Right? I'm with you, Leo.
Michelle was the first one to have your back in the chat, Leo. She agrees
Michelle?
completely. And JD is like going off. How can she not be important? She's the prime antagonist. Some possibilities. Maybe she is the female magician Arcada from the Squadron Supreme, which is a tie-in to the multiverse concept. Listener Jim said, could this be the Supreme Intelligence's revenge? I mean, it's on and on and on. Like, Dottie is very important.
I will
just
tell
kind
you
of feel
guys
like
this.
she's being purposely glazed over. Like, I kind of think it's like this, oh yeah, this is just Dottie, whatever, it's just Dottie, and then she could potentially be somebody of like big interest later on. If not Mephisto, somebody working for Mephisto, somebody working with Agatha, something like that. I almost
and again, like, you know, like we,
possibly.
yeah, and again, like we mentioned, like when she cut her hand, she bled in color. And then, you know, like so she came from the outside, just like the helicopter, the drones that they flew in. It changed a little bit, but that was in color. The stuff from the outside coming in, especially in the first couple episodes, they showed up in color. So they're not part of that story.
I'll just say this, to say she's the main antagonist, I mean, we only saw them have one interaction. That's why I said I'd have to see a elongated form of that. Like, if we see in the next episode, the next time she sees Dottie's like really snotty or whatever, I'll lean more towards that. But they had one interaction.
But do you not agree?
Like that before with somebody?
Do you not agree, though, as Leo has pointed out, that interaction, everyone else that's done even the slightest thing to make Wanda uncomfortable is gone. Nope, that's not happening. That's not happening.
That's what I'm saying. We have to see, because we didn't see. Well, we have to see if we see Dottie. We didn't see her in this last episode. Not this one that aired yesterday, but last week. She wasn't in last week.
She was in one quick little scene where she was like, "Do these earrings make you look fat?" So it
right. That's what I'm saying. So I'm like, let's see how much of her we see going forward.
Or what if she's misdirection? What if they put her there for us to all sit here and speculate if she's more than she actually is, and instead they're like, "Ha, you guys spent all this time thinking about Dottie when it's something else."
Mission accomplished.
I don't know. I think Dottie's a little bit more than we think, yo. Like,
I'm with you.
I mean, look, she very well could be. I just, again, I'm with you in the sense of it's something that many people might not be paying much attention to. So therefore, it's like, it could be the person we're skipping over. I really do think that Mephisto is not in a person's body. It's just Agnes trying to get her to exhaust the chaos magic for him to get in. So I don't think Mephisto is necessarily a person we've seen.
Yeah, it's Marvel. They're not afraid to go Dormammu if they need to with his character. So they'll show it. That being said, I wanted to talk about the cut hand because I feel like it just keeps coming up. I think the difference there is every time someone up until Ultron is mentioned, there's kind of that rewind that she plays. That's really what she's trying to do. She's trying to control that universe. Ultron, I think, was that trigger that made her go, no, this is, you're not like a part of my thing, because the people that are in my system wouldn't talk like that to me. Even when they had a mild break, I could control that. You're not one of them. And she boots them out. And I think that's really what the difference was, is that Ultron triggered it beyond the normal controllable component that she's had in her life so far. So I think that would be why she booted him out. Like, the Beekeeper didn't get booted, right? It was just stuff
it was just
Which, by the way, where is he at? Like, it was like they just had that moment. He went in, by the way, Agent Franklin, a little suspicious there.
Yeah.
He just kind of goes in, and then they have that moment, and it cuts back to Darcy and Jimmy Woo. What the heck happened with that guy?
Wait, why
is he somewhere roaming around?
His name is Franklin. I don't get that.
Why
like Franklin Richards or whatever?
Yeah. That's what I always think of when I hear Franklin. I always think Franklin Richards. There's these weird little possible ties to Fantastic Four. I wouldn't get past
Franklin Richards is possibly one of the strongest Marvel characters ever.
Period.
Ever to be written. I will say I do not look forward to the day that they introduce Franklin, because you have to water him down. That's how powerful he is. He's just like all-time powerful.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Isn't he
I
like
think
Omega or beyond Omega level mutant? Like
way
he's just,
beyond
like,
Omega.
all the way up
Like,
there. Like
yeah, he scares many of powerful people in the Marvel universe. But
He turned Galactus into his own herald. Like,
yes,
really.
yes, exactly. Franklin literally is the guy that, like, when you hear Galactus, you're like, yo, call Franklin. Like, just call Franklin real quick. Like, have him come out. But I will say, as far as the Beekeeper, I think that's just a character that the plot is just kind of like, like, that's why we haven't really heard, like, where he is. Just kind of like,
It's like what's that one show where the person like went up to the attic and they were like never seen again? There's like a sitcom.
Growing Pain. No, Family Matters.
Yeah, like the girl goes up to and it's like and they were never seen again.
Yeah, that's what we can assume of the Beekeeper. It's just like never seen again. But yeah, again, Leo, you guys could be very very spot on with the Dottie thing. It's just my focus is when they will reveal Agnes is Agatha Harkness. So all of my focus is on that. So that's why I haven't really been paying attention to Dottie. But like I said, I want to see more from her to see if she does anything else suspicious. Because all the suspicion is on the lady that keeps bringing up the devil. That's where my suspicion is, So it's like, Dottie hasn't really said anything outside of just questioning the reality, But we've seen breaks in that numerous times. I mean, we saw it when Wanda wasn't even a part of it with Agnes kind of going, and then when Herb was kind of like, no, we're really, and then she shuts him up. If Wanda was a part of that, she would have been like, I'm sorry, what would you say? And then we'd be like, no, nothing. We love it here. And it's like, okay, that's what I thought. I will say this. Someone said this on Reddit, and I can't get it out of my head. Wanda has become the Debo of where it's like, I be talking about what's reality. And then when she come around, I be quiet. And when she leaves, like, all I picture now is Wanda just riding the bike through the neighborhood. And everyone's like, yo, everybody, tuck your thoughts. Wanda's coming. So I can't get that out of my head now. Like, that's all I think. I can't even watch Friday anymore without thinking about it. But no, Leo, I'm sorry, you didn't fully give your thoughts on the episode before I move on.
Oh my God. Well, I love this episode. Love that we start this episode similar to an MCU movie where we're just like thrown right in. The last couple episodes we had those sitcom vibes and like the sitcom intros, and this one we're just kind of tossed right in. And I like this perspective shift that we get, that where we're finally kind of given a human look into the blip, because in Avengers Endgame, you come back, the heroes come back, they save the day, woohoo. Here is a more realistic look at what the blip would look like if people just coming right back, rematerializing in the hospital. Everybody's freaking out. Patients are popping up out of nowhere. Suddenly the hospital population doubles. It's just kind of this frenzy of emotion, like, oh my God, like everybody's coming back. And this is a more realistic look at how people will come back from the blip. Now, I said this a little bit earlier. I was a little disappointed that they kind of just grazed over Maria a little bit. Like, I feel like, okay, that's such a big character, and Monica should have had a little bit more of a moment, but I understand this is WandaVision. We got to keep on moving. Thinking in Captain Marvel 2 will kind of return to some of that, because she even had a plan set up for once Monica came back. And I'm just kind of like, okay, why is she the only one that believed everybody will come back? Everybody had moved on at that point. Even the Avengers sitting in that circle at the beginning of Endgame, people had moved on from the blip. It'd been years, so...
Really quick, Leo, also remember, Captain Marvel didn't get blipped away. So remember, they were keeping in touch when they were going through their plan. So it's very possible that Carol Danvers called her and said, hey, there might be a way for like your daughter to come back. And that could be the events of why she was like, all right, so it's a possibility she could come back. So let me prepare for if I'm not here when she does. So I do want us to keep that in mind, that they were keeping in communication. The Avengers, remember in Endgame when we saw them all in like the little holograms? So it's a good possibility that Carol Danvers probably reached out to her and was like, hey, your daughter may come back, may not, who knows, just prepare.
And I love Lashana Lynch. A little disappointing that we're not going to get her back possibly. Love her as an actress. So it's like, maybe Captain Marvel 2 should come back in some flashbacks. Hopefully we'll get to see her some more. But man, also that plaque with Photon on it. I'm like, oh, this looks like a hint to getting Monica some powers.
Yep.
And I thought it was interesting that after she was thrown out of Westview, she was still like kind of had the energy look like of being thrown out. So I was like, is this her powers manifesting possibly? Are we going to see Monica actually use some abilities later on down the line? I haven't stumbled upon any leaked footage, so I'm not sure what's going to happen, but man, I just think there's so many possibilities out of this episode. Like seeing Darcy again because I haven't really revisited Thor Dark World. Don't really like that movie. So,
save your
Ragnarok supremacy for sure. So I haven't seen Darcy much, but it was cool to get her back. And what was nice is between her being a doctor and between Jimmy Woo finally actually mastering the trick that Scott taught him in Ant-Man and the Wasp, it shows that these people have been doing things outside of what's going on in the MCU. They have their lives. They've actually developed. Things have happened. So it's cool to get them back. And what I like so much about WandaVision is they're kind of pulling all those characters that did sit on the sidelines and finally giving them some light and exposing, like, okay, Darcy knows what to do. She knew to get the TV and the radioactive stuff. She knew about all of that. So it's nice to see these characters get some moments. I'm really looking forward to the next episode. I will say, when I was watching and Vision walks in after the whole Monica scene, he walks in like, why are y'all like grayed out back there? What a scary experience at 1 o'clock in the morning. I was not expecting that shit at all. And when they did the close-up shot, I was just like, oh my God, what?
Yeah, I do want to point out that JD in the comments mentioned something that I said a week or two ago. It seems as though all these events that differ from what Wanda wants happens when she breaks concentration.
Mm-hmm.
So it shows you that if at some point you're going to assume that they're going to figure that out on the outside. And they'll try to start to do more things to kind of stagger her off balance to see if they can like reach in. But yeah, the Vision thing is because she was so caught off guard of throwing someone out of reality that it was just like, whew, that was crazy. And then she turns around, she's like, oh, wait, no, magic. Sorry, you should not look like that. Like,
oh, by the way, they're in Jersey. So does that mean we're going to see Kamala Khan? Are we going to see Miss Marvel pop up?
I don't think we will, but I will tell you one thing I have been loving is growing the Captain Marvel family. I love that so much. The one day where we have Photon, Miss Marvel, and Captain Marvel on the same screen, my eyes will just roll into the back of my head. Like it'll be a great experience. But no, I don't think we'll see. I don't think we'll see her. I don't even think Monica knows about her yet. But she will be in Captain Marvel too. Like both of those characters will be in that movie. So that's probably when we'll see them. But yeah, Jersey getting some,
I don't think that's a coincidence, though. I don't think that's a coincidence. Yeah,
I literally think they look for, because I'm trying to think. Wanda spent a lot of time in New York, so maybe she thought Jersey was just quieter. Less people might recognize her in smaller places.
It's like no one goes to Jersey.
I'm just kind of like, also, who's that missing person that Jimmy Woo?
Right.
Yeah, we spoke about that. I was saying, Leo, I think the director sent her on a mission that he wasn't expecting her to come back from because she threatens his status as director of S.W.O.R.D. So I think it was more so him concocting something to get Monica to go out there into danger. I don't think, because the first thing I thought was, is Mephisto who they would? No, okay, get that out of my head. All right. So then
what if it's Agnes? What if it's Dottie?
What if it's Kamala Khan? Okay, I am sitting on the Miss Marvel hill. As you guys can see.
I was gonna say, it seems like Leo is with Miss Marvel like I am with Mephisto. We just want it. We want it. But no, the missing person is something we have to keep an ear out for if they mention anything else about it later on. They made sure to keep it a mystery in this episode. It was just like, yeah, I was looking for a person, but yeah, don't worry about that. was like, no, that's important. Who are you looking for?
Right.
So I'm sure they'll get back to that at some point. But yeah, what was I saying? Oh yeah, no, I said about Wanda breaking her concentration. All right, Dom, I'm gonna kick it over to you. Your thoughts on this episode, man?
First, I do think I love Jimmy Woo's character. I think he's gonna be the new Coulson-esque type of character that lingers around everywhere, which I love Coulson. So I feel like that he's gonna kind of take that role over. I love the Voodoo Child song at the end of the episode because I
Yes.
feel like that kind of leads into a dark. I mean, it's acknowledging that her powers are very strong and essentially dark, and it's going to get that much more powerful later on. And if I'm not mistaken, in episode 3, and this kind of leads to me to the control aspect of like who is controlling the situation. So she sees that helicopter at one point, right, and it has like the sword symbol. But then when Vision goes outside to talk to Agnes and Herb, they have necklaces dangling they have sword necklaces dangling from their necks. I don't think, because we thought they were sword agents at some point, but we see that they're not. They're people that they didn't know who they were, and they found their true identity. So does that mean that maybe Mephisto is letting her know that there's something weird going on and wants her to like eliminate it? Or does she kind of know something weird is going on? So she is suspicious of everybody and letting herself know that I'm suspicious of this person when I see this necklace. So I don't know exactly. But that's what I was thinking of. And I think Ralph is the missing person. I think the fact that we were talking about like maybe Mephisto was waiting and he needs something to happen to where he can get in. Maybe that's why he's missing. Maybe, there's a lot of through different literature, through different movies, a lot of devil type characters, demon type characters portray themselves as somebody weak because they need somebody else to latch onto to become more powerful. So if Ralph is that guy, he's not there right now waiting for that chance to attack. And if he's working closely with the FBI as something of an informant or something to lead to this big giant moment, Ralph could be that person to bust it all open eventually. But yeah, I love the episode. I love, like Leo said, I love the take that they took on so we could see like exactly what's going on. My wife took a picture of me and she sent it to me because I didn't know she was behind me, of me like taking pictures. I was pausing the episode and I take pictures of like, okay, what does that say? So I noticed that like one of the characters, they kind of zoomed in for a split second on her driver's license and it said like it expired 10/12/22 or 10/10/22. And I know there's like an Untitled Marvel movie that comes out in October of 2022. So that could be like some kind of nod to that. On the police cruiser, it was 1966. And if you look at Google Marvel 1966, there's a animated Marvel superheroes cartoon. And all the characters that we see in the MCU right now are all very relevant in that show. So yeah, there's a lot of things. I spent more of this episode. I watched it once for enjoyment, and then the second time was like it's note-taking time. So there's a lot of little things that some are just nods, some could be like the Fantastic Four thing for a future reference. But no, it was a great episode, and I definitely want to see more of Darcy and Wu together, and I think we will. I think we had our Maria Hill and Fury together a lot. We had our Coulson, and now we're gonna have these two. So everything looks really good right now.
Fingers crossed. Chris, I'm gonna go to you next, man. Your thoughts on this episode and how crazy it got.
Best episode yet. Definitely the best episode yet. We finally got to see some darkness that we all knew was coming at some point. We just didn't know how long it was going to take us to get there. And then, of course, it's been mentioned several times already, Darcy, Kat Dennings. I was glad to see her back. I'm a fan. I always kind of had a thing for her. Thought she's pretty much, I like everything that she does. Big fan of Two Broke Girls. But anyway, it was great to have her back there. And then also, what we got out of this was, if you noticed, like I'm not quite sure what's going on with with Vision. Is she really controlling Vision, or is it something else? Because do you notice in this whole deal, it seems like he knows more than what's being let on. It was like towards the end, like so when she pushes or forces a Geraldine, through the wall or outside the house. When he comes into the house, he looks at her just automatically like, where's your, like the look on his face immediately, like he automatically just knew something was wrong, like from the jump, like there's something is wrong. She's not there. There's automatic. The fact that she's not there, there has to be something wrong. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So I don't know, how much is she really controlling or somebody else controlling? Like, this is, it's just a big mystery to me. I'm kind of, want to see where that's, really going to go. And also when he comes in, he talks about, we can, we don't have to stay here, darling. And it's just a whole lot there for me with the Vision, and makes me, really wonder whether or not, who's really controlling him. You spoke about the cryptic scene. I think that threw everybody. You guys talked about 1 a.m. in the morning, 3 a.m. Man, I watched it like at about, I don't know, about 8 p.m. And that kind of spooked me. You know what I'm saying? And I'm a you know what I'm saying? And I'm a like a scary movie type guy. And that's kind of caught me off guard. We finally got an answer to the beekeeper as well, as it's been mentioned earlier before. So it's very, very interesting. But this is what I want to ask you guys. So everybody's got their theory on who the missing person is. What's the chances that the missing person isn't Maria? She's not dead.
That's wow. And the room goes silent.
I never know that doesn't really add up, because didn't he say that to I forget Maria's daughter's name. Monica. Didn't he say that to Monica? Why would he say it in that context? If that, I mean, I guess he doesn't maybe know that that's the mother, but at the same time, Rambo as the last name would have come up, right?
When it comes to Wu and you watch Ant-Man and Wasp again, there's a lot of moments where he does not seem to have all the facts.
Right.
It's very possible that he was sent on this mission from somebody other than who he's usually sent on this mission for, and was given very little information. Yeah. Like, look at how calm he is when Monica shows up. Like, yeah, I have no idea what the hell's going on here. So they sent you. I don't know. Can you help? And then when she disappears is when Sword really gets involved. But outside of that, it's kind of just like, he's just cool, calm, and collected. Like, I don't know what the hell's going on here, but, whatever. So, I mean, look, everything is in play here. Listen, we had a snap that brought people back, disappeared people, killed people. Everything's in play here. I'm still one of those people that's like, it's not really dead. But yeah, so to me, look, I don't know. I like it, Chris. It's now in the back of my head. I'm going to get my tinfoil hat out later on tonight. We watch that episode. But Tia, I'll pass it to you.
I just want to comment on something Chris was saying in regards to Vision. Yeah, I feel as if, is Wanda really 100% creating Vision? Because if she was, wouldn't he just be blissfully ignorant to things? Wouldn't he, why would he then be pointing out the indiscrepancies or the errors and things like that? If she was just completely making him up, he would just come in and be like, oh, hello, darling, as opposed to him like, where's Geraldine? Looking super worried, him looking for answers with Herb and Agnes. So we've talked before, and even Suri has pointed out in Infinity War that there is a chance that Vision could exist without the stone. So, and he is really just a computer, and information doesn't die. So what if he is somehow still out there? I can't tell you how that actually happens because I'm not that smart with that stuff, but there could be a chance that he is really still around, just because again he's through the internet.
I mean, I do like how they did kind of clean it up. So like obviously the biggest person that could have rebuilt Vision is dead. Yeah. The other person right now is dealing with well, story-wise, not necessarily timeline-wise, but story-wise, Shuri's going to be dealing with a lot with I don't know if they're going to say the disappearance or the death of her brother. I don't know. I don't even want to go down that rabbit hole. But, obviously she's occupied. Right. So it goes.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say Professor Hulk.
I mean, he's also busy too. We have no idea where in the timeline She-Hulk takes place.
Yeah, what's he up to?
He's busy with that,
Yeah.
And he's
Juwan.
in hand. Yeah, go ahead.
Did anybody else notice this? And it could be nothing, but you guys have brought up the references to the Fantastic Four a few times tonight. Did you guys notice when Darcy was asking for that television and they finally got the TV, and you get a quick glimpse of it, and I think it's like towards the end, they have it turned to channel 4. I don't know if that really means anything, but it is turned to channel 4. So,
everything means something. Yeah. Everything means something. Listen, going forward on this show, whatever you see that you think means nothing, mention it, because it probably means something. To me, I attribute that with the conversation about pilots that they sent up that still haven't come back yet, that I do believe could be the Fantastic Four. So yes, that means a lot. Again, tinfoil hat, putting it in my head so I can review it later. I attribute that to something for sure. And all right, now let me just move on. Ryan, I'm gonna go to you next. Your thoughts
Okay.
on episode 4.
So my big 3 that I want to make sure I address. First of all, I love Darcy. I love Kat Dennings. I don't feel like she came across like she grew up in the time that we were away from her. Like, I love that they slapped the doctor title on her, but at the same time, I didn't feel like she came across as a doctor. She kind of felt more like she was some blogger with throw on her headphones and, just kind of show how smart she was, but not like, she didn't come across as more assertive, just kind of like, I don't know.
She wasn't as bad though as she was in Thor and Thor Dark World, where she really was like seemed as if pick another career type.
Also remember, you're not going to get that much progression from her because that's just who she is.
That's her character.
That's her character. It's like the next time we see, was it Luis, whatever the guy from Ant-Man is that does the stories. The next time we see him, he probably won't be any different than the last time we saw him. He's just a jokester,
Yeah, I know. And just in some ways, I kind of thought that once you strap the diploma to her title, that there would be some sort of extra to it, that you would feel like, oh, that's someone who's got a degree, But she does come across very smart, obviously.
Think about this, Ryan. Think about how long it took Stark to become to stop being a man-child. It took the events of Iron Man 3 for him to go,
fair.
You probably take this a little bit more seriously. So, it's a progression thing. But remember, we've only seen her twice before now. So
that's one on the list. I will also say that, yes, I mentioned it before. I did see the leaks that everyone's been talking about. I'm not going to bring up what they are here. By the way, of what I did see, they're snippets and no one has talked about anything. So there is some stuff coming that you haven't even talked about yet. So that's
I didn't see any leaks.
I didn't know about
Hey, stay away from them.
Yeah. I'm gonna go look them up right now.
I will say, but so Darcy, I do feel like Vision as a character is, and especially with the remove piece that kind of like, I don't know how to describe it, but I call him soulless Vision. I think that's what it is. He has no soul stone, so he's almost like a living zombie that's moving around in this universe. So I think that's their kind of indication that's why he's like going through the motions with everything in this. But I think he's going to essentially grow in his own sentience and venture off. Because we saw in certain things where I think some of the early trailers would show him going up to Agnes, and I think she's in the car, and there was a conversation that goes like he activates her or something like that, and then it's like a "what are you doing here" kind of conversation that they have. And I think Vision at some point, like during the trick-or-treating stuff, is going to go out on his own and kind of explore the town a little bit to understand what's really going on here. So I'm hoping that that's kind of like a cool moment for him, but I don't know that he's really alive. And they kind of indicated in this that like if he was to ever leave that place, he wouldn't exist anymore. So I think he has life within the confine of this area. The only other thing I wanted to bring up was, I do feel like Wanda still has control of just everything and everyone in it. So like we mentioned before, the rewind of everything, I just don't feel like every little thing that, I mean, I agree with what you're saying, Juan, like the idea that you don't want to pass over a little thing that might seem to indicate an Easter egg of something or other. But like in the beginning, I remember people saying that I literally saw it again yesterday too, that Afro, I can't remember the guy's name.
Herb.
Yeah, Herb. It was Brother Voodoo or something like that. And I was like, just because they played Voodoo at the end of this episode does not mean he is Brother Voodoo. Would be cool to see that though. That or like that the beekeeper was like some other kind of creature, some sort of powered individual, and he just turned out to be some dude crawling through a pipe. So I love getting our expectations up there, but I'm also trying to keep it kind of reasonable so that we're not like, oh yeah, the Fantastic Four are going to show up and it's all going to explode and it's going to leak out into other, but I do like the New Jersey thing, especially like Leo was talking about, because I do think that New Jersey is not just a coincidence. I do think at the end of this, there's going to be some, I don't think it's going to be like, they're not going to put a bow on it. They're not going to be like, well, we wrap this up. It's going to get probably worse before it gets better. And there's going to be some trickle out, which might end up affecting the events of Captain Marvel 2 and or Ms. Marvel. So I think there's something there with what you're saying, Leo. But I don't really know how it's all going to end with all this. It's just going to be really interesting no matter what.
No, I believe everything's connected. I believe characters throughout the MCU will be affected. I just don't think we'll see Ms. Marvel.
Yeah. And I don't think we're getting
not even say Ms. Marvel, because that's not what Leo was saying. I don't think we'll see Kamala, powered or unpowered. I don't think we'll see her. I think New Jersey kind of rests on a lot of, scenery and them just deciding to put it there.
Yeah, but I do think some of this will connect to that in some way.
Yeah, right. Sure. And that's what I meant. I didn't necessarily mean we would see her like in the show. Right. I do think though that it will tie, and maybe once we do get into that Ms. Marvel show, it's like, oh yeah, during this time, this piece of time, there's this thing going on called WestView Paradox, and then that's what maybe gave her her powers or something.
It'll probably just be that thin little thread. It won't be this big event that carries over. But yeah, it's enough that will there'll be a red line that you can connect to it, and it'll be worth the payoff. So that was really interesting. And I just don't think that, talking cameos, that we're going to get Moonglow or any sort of Squadron Supreme thing. Although I do appreciate the reference that like the husband was like the husband of Moonglow. And I mean, maybe, but I really doubt we're seeing any of that connection.
Yeah. I'm going to go ahead and say the less Squadron Supreme we see, the better. I don't like the fake Justice League aspect of the Squadron Supreme. Keep them
They're
far
cool,
away.
But they just don't work with what we're doing right now.
They really don't.
It's
Keep
messy.
them far away.
Yeah.
KJ, I'll go over to you for some fan questions.
Yeah. So I think, because I know that we're limited on time, but these are some things to ponder or maybe possibly talk about next week. A couple of things that came through as we were talking. Michelle said, could someone else be posing as Vision? So she's just seeing him as Vision. JPP Creative, perhaps Wanda harnessed some of his conscious energy when she was trying to pull out the stone. So maybe she has some of Vision's energy that she can basically recreate him. I think that's a really good point. And then
I think we lost her. No.
You froze up, KJ.
Oh no!
You got put in the WestView.
Oh no! Can you hear me now?
Yes,
okay.
Yes, you're good.
Okay. One final thought that kind of
Oh no, again.
Oh,
Wanda does
baby.
not
Jeff
want you
is
to say
into
whatever
a
you're
point.
trying to say. I don't know
It's
what.
Wanda.
Wanda is in full effect tonight over at Conda Nerdy.
She's back.
All right, so wait, KJ, before you go any further,
Yes.
every time you're about to say that one part,
Yep.
it taps out. I don't know what it is
What
with
did I
the
have?
part you're trying to say.
Wanda's like, no.
Yeah, or Feige is watching this live and he's like, don't no.
Spoilers.
Let me try really quick. Gonzo said, with that in mind, that everything matters. That would include Dottie. She matters.
I can already see that hashtag ready to start.
Dottie is somebody more, you guys.
Yeah, we're gonna. That's Wanda, man. No more comments. You know,
that's pretty much what she's saying. I see. We also got here. Last one we'll get to, and then we'll get to Dan for Dan to close us out tonight. The Grim Reaper was born in New Jersey. Could he be the missing person? And that's why we saw his cowl in the animated opening. The cowl was more so a nod to Wonder Man, which Wonder Man is a nod to the creation of Vision. I think that was just kind of like a nice big bow of how the three of them are connected. I do believe Grim Reaper is a character we'll see down the road. I just don't really know how. Like it doesn't mean it has anything to do with this series per se. It's just kind of like a door opening to what we see going forward.
You could be looking for Simon Williams too.
Very likely. If you go back to that interview with the showrunner, behind her is artwork for Wonder Man. So I mean, anything is possible. Anything is possible in the MCU for sure, especially in Wanda's world. Except for them allowing us to read YouTube comments. Apparently, that's a no-go. But Dan, you to end this out, man. What were your thoughts on this episode?
Yeah, I liked it a lot. It was good to see some things starting to tie together and kind of get a feeling for where we are within the MCU timeline at this point. A couple things. I think we're getting a little bit of a Weekend at Bernie's with Vision. I think Wanda is controlling his dead body, and she's just kind of having lapses in time now. I also think Ralph, if he's anything, I think he's Mephisto. I don't know why. I have a gut feeling because Agnes talks about him a lot and how he's a pretty bad dude. So I think he's Mephisto. And yeah, those are my predictions for now. I think Vision's gonna start putting up a fight against Wanda and challenging her rule. And the more I think about it, I thought someone else was really behind it. I'm starting to think that Wanda is the big bad of this series.
Yeah.
And I have a feeling that a certain Sorcerer Supreme is going to have to take her on. And it's going to be interesting because we've seen Wanda go from a villain to a hero and maybe back to a villain. I think that would be interesting. And sure, someone might be pulling the strings behind her, but I think if you're going to try to take her out of her perfect home, she's not going down without a fight.
Right. Yeah, I do think. Go ahead, Tim.
I was going to say really quick, going on, Wanda, going on what Dan was saying, where Vision would be putting up a bit of a fight. There's a promo for if you go on the WandaVision Twitter page, there's a promo of I guess what you can expect for the upcoming season. And there's a scene of Wanda and Vision facing each other, and Wanda has her little energy balls in her hand, and the two of them are levitating above the ground, staring at each other. And it's are they about to fight? Are they going to fight right now? So, make that attest to it.
That's what I was just about to say. Keep this in mind. The more Vision figures out what's going on, the more he's going to fight against it. In that scene where where Vision says they're attacking us, and she's like, let's protect our home. It could be a rewrite of what actually happened, which is Vision fighting against Wanda and her revising it to where he's siding with her, to where she still has overall sway over WestView, and we ultimately see her fight her biggest demon, which is letting go of Vision, and letting go of this perfect world that she's trying to build. So I do believe at some point Vision will go, no, this is not real. And then Wanda kind of going, yeah, but you have no control of your will. So
and then she's gonna say no more, and then boom, the multiverse happens.
No more MCU. Oh man, you picture? Go ahead, Dan. What were you saying, Dan?
I think it's interesting because in the movies that he's in, Vision is always the voice of reason. He's the one that comes in with, the reason why there's so many bad things happening is because the Avengers exist. And in Civil War, he's on the side of order, or what he perceives to be order. And now, and he has to convince Wanda to destroy him so that the world doesn't fall to Thanos in Infinity War. So I think he's going to spend a lot of time just trying to break Wanda out of her perceived, no pun intended, vision of their perfect world. And I guess it'll be like the 5 stages of grief, where she's angry that she lost Vision, and then she's doing whatever she can to bring him back, and eventually she's just going to have to accept that he's gone.
Yeah, I mean, I said this before. I do believe WandaVision is trying to do a better version of what Wonder Woman 1984 did, which is the struggle of gaining someone you love that you lost and then losing them all over again. And I think ultimately when she will spiral out of control, which will lead us to our multiverse, is when she comes to the terms that Vision's dead. And I do think it'll be a moment where Jimmy Woo breaks in and he's like, Wanda, like, look at who you're holding. And she looks down, and reality is real now, and it's Vision dead. And I think that will kind of just spin her out.
That'd be so creepy.
No,
like, I'm trying to imagine that.
But think about it. I think we're bracing ourselves for a moment like that. She lost concentration, turned around, and saw Vision the same way she saw him the last time she actually really saw him. So I do think there will be a moment where like Vision gets hit by something and she's holding him, and Jimmy Woo's like, Wanda, like, look down. And she looks down, and he's like, the way that she last saw him, and she just completely goes out of control. I really could see that being what sparks her. And then, she starts to see small things like her kids are gone, the reality is gone, Vision's gone, and then she utters whatever words this show decides to give us. We know it won't be no more mutants, so we'll see if we get any words from Wanda at the end of this season. But this was a great breakdown, guys. I love getting super nerdy with you guys. I want to thank all of our fans that commented. You guys had a lot of great ideas. I'll open my mind up to Dottie. # Dottie matters. I'll open it up. I don't want to be closed-minded here, and then I'm the only one not paying attention to Dottie. So that's why we love you guys, talking back and forth with us. So thank you very much for that. Thank you everybody for joining me. Pete, huge shout out to you for your first episode with us, man. We love
happy to be here, man. This was fun.
Oh, I love the Punisher skull.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Can I give a quick shout out? My friend Liz paints these glasses herself. Lee's Art, LEEZ_art on Instagram. She does custom work. Whatever you want on a glass, she can do it for you. Feel free to hit her up, man. And they survive hot water, just hand washing. Just don't throw them in the dishwasher. I've been using them years.
You're gonna have to give me that link. So
I'll take it too. Message it to us.
I'll drop it in the group chat.
Oh, okay, yeah, in the group chat. Drop it in there.
Yeah.
Huge shouts out for that. Thank you all for joining me. It seems like KJ and Patrick are getting the snow that New Jersey and New York is about to get in the next few days.
We're supposed to get snow?
Yeah, we're supposed to get like a lot of snow. Well, no, I'm sorry, tomorrow night into Tuesday or Wednesday. So it's supposed to snow for a bit.
Yeah, sorry, our connection isn't the greatest.
No. Look, you guys were audio-wise. It was only that one YouTube comment. You guys out of control.
Was Wanda?
It was Wanda. It was Wanda and Feige. We're on to something. We're on.
Yeah, I'm telling you, Dottie matters.
That's when Feige came in and was like, nope. Let me mess them up a little bit. So I just want to give a few shout outs before we get out of here. Kinda Nerdy Girls and Kinda Nerdy Dudes both dropped new episodes this week. Please make sure you guys go check them out. I will have links in the YouTube info section, and obviously you guys follow us all on social media. So we'll be promoting each other. So make sure you guys look out for the 2 new episodes from Kinda Nerdy Girls and Kinda Nerdy Dudes, where I do make a appearance and talk as much as I have tonight. So make sure you guys listen out for that. Also, Dom has dropped a few more articles. This man does not sleep, and you see he is still fresh to death. So shout outs to Dom. Make sure you guys are checking that out. Pete is getting back into the swing of things. So make sure you guys keep an eye out on Pete's Basement, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Pete, did you wanna promo something really quickly?
I mean, you handled it, man.
Okay,
Pete's
perfect.
Basement. We're all over the place. And yeah,
Perfect.
I kind of slept on all of January, but just getting my feet wet again. Thanks for this.
Absolutely,
this was fun.
man. Absolutely. Look forward to doing more with you, Pete. Tia has also been putting out new content. I see Tia broke down The Outsiders recently. Yeah. That is up on YouTube. I'm so jealous. I was not able to praise Daddy Mendelsohn like I wanted to. So
it was great.
That, Tia.
when I gave that to Kanan, he was like, "You guys are just reviewing that now," and I was like, "Well, Sean from Lights Camera Pro, he's an amazing person, and he's an affiliate of ours, so please make sure you check out his stuff." He had just finished The Outsider, and he's like, "I want to talk about it." I'm like, "Great, I'm always down to talk about that show. It's amazing. Let's do it." So that's out right now, so you can check that out, and that was a lot of fun.
Absolutely. Hashtag Daddy Mendelsohn. Also, huge shouts out to Prime. Make sure you guys are following the Sports Bar Podcast, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. It's Super Bowl week, baby. So that's the only place you need to go for all your sports content. So make sure you guys are following up with that. Obviously, the NBA is ramping up into the thick of the season coming up. So make sure you guys are paying attention to that. And huge shouts out to Chris. The Knicks don't suck this year. So, that's bad. Make sure you guys are checking out Leo with Geekly Goods. I know Leo just finished The Little Things. I finished it also. I saw your comments, Leo. We kind of had the same feel about it. A little bit of a slow burn, but overall solid movie. So make sure you guys are checking out all the stuff that Leo's dropping on Geekly Goods. Ryan with the Nerd Rage podcast. Make sure you guys are following him on Twitter also.
And we're back next week. Finally.
Look at that. Ryan's making his long-awaited comeback, so make sure you guys
are trickling back, but we're coming back.
Make sure you guys are following him for all the updates. And Dan, the main Damie, they call this a movie. They dropped a new episode. What was the new episode about, Dan?
It was Savage Beach. It's basically softcore porn. I'm sorry. I didn't know. I honestly had no idea.
How do we follow you?
I watched it with my sister, and it was just.
That's the show, folks.
No, wait, no, time out. I knew where Dan's coming from. There's nothing more uncomfortable like watching something with a family member and not knowing what to expect. I watched Spartacus with my dad, and I got uncomfortable at so many times.
I want to let it be known, my sister is 27 years old, so she's not a child.
Right.
It's one of those things where I was like, "Oh, I'm going to turn this off," and she was like, "Well, no, don't turn it off just because I'm here." I'm like, well, it's not that important.
That's like I watched the first season of Jessica Jones with my mom, and when Jessica and Luke were going at it, and it's just like us looking at each other like, let's just pretend this isn't happening right now.
Yeah, no, for sure. I'm sorry. I just Prime. I just saw that Lions trade, so that threw me off. But
Yeah,
make
we were
sure-
just that's what we were doing too.
I was like, come on, go to Chicago, go to Chicago, go to Chicago.
So if anyone that is interested in football, just saw Matt Stafford got traded to the Rams for Jared Goff. So huge shocker. Did not see that coming, and very disrespectful to Jared Goff. But anyway, make sure you guys are checking out. They call this a movie. That sounds like a lot of fun. I will make sure. Not weird when I say this, but I'll make sure I watch that alone. But that's still gonna come off.
Yeah, don't have your parents around.
So that's all we got for you guys tonight. Make sure you guys follow everybody here. You guys see a lot of their names here. Follow them, please. And stay tuned, because if you thought episode 4 was crazy, I just can't expect what episode 5 is willing to give us. So make sure you guys stay tuned for that. And we'll see you guys the same time, same place next